Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio to address whatever is in your heart and whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason we are here with you in 3D every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted. And as we broadcast live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, our broadcast is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the gift segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube to support the broadcast. We thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So as you know, we're here from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. now, Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted. And we are continuing to run our monthly FijiWater.com sponsored promo. You only need to go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, and the first three songs you hear at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m., list those songs along with your name and your email address. Text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected every month to receive a case of Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. For the remainder of this year, once a month, one of our listeners and viewers will receive a case of Fiji Water from Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And as you know, our monthly winner for the month of June was Matthew Young of Media, Pennsylvania, who has received a case of Fiji Water from Earth's finest water from FijiWater.com. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel as though you are walking back and forth on a balance beam. You said you know you can stay up, however, you are tired and you do not want to fall off. So obviously you're a gymnast. You enjoy gymnastics, so, or at least watching them. But let me say this to you: you don't want to fall. You do not have to fall. You know, if you feel that you are running out of gas, and this is going to take me to another communication also, because we all have moments when we feel that we're running on empty. But I'm going to stay with your analogy. You said you feel like you're going back and forth on the balance beam. So you also feel like you're not getting anywhere. But the reality is, if you were training for gymnastics and preparing for the Olympics, you're preparing for the gold medal. So let's let's make sure we keep everything in proper perspective. You're going back and forth. You don't want to fall off. It's only because you're feeling a bit exhausted. So here's what you've got to know is that you've got to rest, find an opportunity to rest in the Lord. You've just got to come down off the beam. You don't have to fall. You can sit down, you can come down, and you won't fall and injure yourself in the process. You won't injure your emotions because you're not able to cope with what's the pace that's going on in your life. You won't feel like you are falling out of control. You won't suffer any of those emotional issues if you just come down off the beam. Take a pause from practice, for lack of a better term. Because all life is for all of us is practice. It's really about trying to get this thing right. You feel like you're walking back and forth, well, you may have to sit down for a moment. Gain your balance. That's one of the things you talked about in your communication. You said, you don't want to lose your balance and fall. Life is a balancing act for all of us. There is no such thing as a work-life balance. Work is always going to require more of you than your personal life. The balance you want to find is the calm, the rest in the Lord. Being able to take some time and rest in Him. You have to decide what that looks like for you. Now, I can share with you some examples of what that may look like. But you've got to find your own balance that you're okay with. I've often said this, so I have a specific amount of time that I study every day. I have a very specific prayer life. But it doesn't mean that I don't ever get tired or exhausted from all the work that has to be done. But when you have those moments, for me, it's, I retreat to my Bible. I'm going to read. I'm going to spend some time resting in the Lord. I'm going to, it's one thing to find that sweet spot, for lack of a better term, where you can rest in the Lord. There are things I enjoy doing that I haven't had an opportunity to do lately. There are truly things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy trying to stay healthy. And for me, it's not so much my diet as it is my exercise. I enjoy running. I enjoy playing golf. Those are things I enjoy doing. But if I don't have time on my schedule to do them, they're going to have to take a backseat, because I've got to find a place to rest in the Lord. Now, golf might do that for me, but it won't do that for me if it's blazing hot and I don't have the time to put in. Because I'm going to spend 4 to 4.5 hours on the golf course, depending on how badly I play. I'm going to, not notice I didn't say how good I played, how badly I play. But I love it, and it gives me time to be out in nature. It gives me time to just spend some quiet time with God, because there's no, unless someone's with me, there's no talking going on. If I'm out playing by myself, I'm not talking to myself, so I'm only talking to God. But if I don't have the if I play well, it's 4 hours. If I don't play well, it's 4.5. If I don't have 4 hours to give to golf on any given day, then I know my 3 hours of reading time I'm going to get in. So I'll retreat to my Bible. You just have to find your place of retreat. I will spend more time reading scriptures. I'll spend some time reading about the projects that we're working on as opposed to working them. So you just got to find how you can balance the beam that you're walking on. And then when you find that sweet spot, stay in it. You know, that's the problem that we have. You know, we find the sweet spot and then we jump right back out of it and into something else. If I can remove from my calendar that very day when I need to get in my sweet spot and retreat into my Bible, if I can take everything else off the calendar after I feel like I need to get there, then that's what I'm going to do. There are very specific things you can do for self-care. And all of us, I don't care who you are, what you've accomplished, how much you have, there are going to be those moments when you're going to need to rest in the Lord. And you've got to be able to identify them. And you've identified it in your communication when you said you feel like you're walking back and forth on a balance beam. That was your theory, your communication. So now you just have to find the balance that you're looking for in just retreating into that, finding that sweet spot, that sweet spot that you can rest in the Lord. Because that's really all you need right now. See, this is going to be good for all of our listeners and viewers because I'm going to share something with you. So we all need some time to rest in the Lord. We all need some time to tune out everyone else and everything else and just rest in the Lord. Focus on breathing, mindfulness, being present, just relaxing, not stressing yourself out, trying to find something to do that will take your mind off of what you're doing. No. You have to find that place of rest inside of you. And every one of us is going to have those moments in life. Find your sweet spot. Find your time of rest in the Lord. And you'll get rejuvenated because that's what God does. He gives us strength. He gives us a renewed spirit. We get rejuvenated. We're able to get back to what needs to be done, what must be done, that will bring God all the glory in our lives. Whether it's your professional career, whether it's ministry, whether it's your personal relationships, whatever it is, God will give you the strength to get back to what needs to be done that will bring God all the glory in your life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your husband does not listen to anything you say and says that you nag him about everything. He says you have control issues, and he said he only responds when he feels that it's necessary. So you said in your communication you don't want to be a nag. But, however, I will say this. If you have control issues, that is going to occur. So you're going to have to work on those issues. You're going to have to work on the issue of wanting to control everything that you and your husband do. You're going to have to work on not trying to control the environment at all times, because the problem is when you cannot control the environment at all times, you're either going to, in his case he called it nagging, or you're going to complain. Because that's the only way that you can express your frustration for not being able to control things. You're going to have to examine you. And what I mean by that is, you're going to have to decide, is that what you want? Well, I know the answer to that because you shared in your communication. You don't want to be that. However, you do understand that if he's saying that, there's some validity to what he's saying. So now he only responds when necessary. So now you're going to have to accept that. And that's going to help you to realize that you're not in control. You can't control another person's behavior. You cannot control the environment that you're in at all times. You can only control what God assigns you to control. Because remember, God is in control of all things. So you're only going to be able to control what he assigns to you to control. That is going to include your personal wellness, your mental wellness, and your emotional wellness. Those are the things you can control. You can control how you perform in your professional environment. You can control that. You can control you can learn to navigate all of those things. You have to recognize that you cannot control other people and you cannot control the environment in which you live, because there are other people, places, and things in that environment. You're not in control of those things. So now what happens is that you have what my physician, my primary care doctor calls selective listening. When baby boomers, one of the questions that they ask is, how's your hearing? Has other people told you that you are having issues hearing? Do you feel like you're having issues hearing? Or is it just selective listening? And so basically what's happening is your husband now has selective listening. He only listens, but he only responds when he feels it's necessary to respond. And that's what happens a lot with, let me just say this for all of our listeners and viewers, that's what happens with a lot of husbands, because we're wired differently. Everything for us is logical. For most men, the majority of the male population, there is a segment of the male population who chooses to conduct themselves on an emotional basis. But the majority of the male population, we are focused on what's logical. If it's not logical, it's not going to require a response from us. Whereas for the female population, and there are exceptions to that rule also, but for the majority of the female population, most of it is emotional. That's the way God created us all. But truth be told, contrary to popular belief, we need one another. I know there was a whole segment of the population at one time that said, I don't need, yes you do. We all need each other. And what we have to recognize is that for the majority of us, we have to accept that when there are other people in our lives, they too have the opportunity to participate based on their desire or the necessity. So basically, your husband does hear you, but he's not going to respond to everything you say. He's just not, because you're dealing with emotion, he's dealing with logic. You're dealing with control, he's not dealing with control issues. He's only going to work to get the best result and do it the way he feels that he can get the best result. So, listen, at this point in your life, you've been married for a decade. At this point, you've got to recognize that he's been dealing with the same issue for the last 10 years. Actually 11. You said, he's been dealing with what he perceives to be nagging. And so now he's only going to respond when it's necessary. And you're going to have to be okay with that, because that's what you've created. That's the environment you've created. And this is going to take me to a different place, but I'm going to go here because I can feel the Holy Spirit taking me here. Here's the reality. The reality is that we all are imperfect. We're imperfect human beings. But we have to learn to live with the results of what we do. Sometimes consequences of what we do. But certainly the results. The result that you have gotten is that your husband only responds to you when necessary. What I will say to you is that can change when you change. And for all of us, there is something in each and every one of us that we can change and need to change. But we have to get to the place where we decide to make that change. And having said that, I think it's real important to understand that it's not that your husband doesn't care what you're saying. It's just that he's going to analyze what you're saying and respond accordingly. He's never going to respond anymore. He's never, because this has been going on for over 10 years now, for 11 years. He's only going to respond when he feels it's necessary, because he knows that responding to you is only going to lead to you trying to take control over another topic or over the environment. Those are the results of what you've been doing for the last 11 years. Now you can decide that you want to make a change, and you can make change. But don't be annoyed with him because he says that because you don't like the term nagging. Don't be annoyed with him, because what he's basically saying to you is that he's heard it long enough. He knows who you are, and as much as he loves you, he also knows now how to deal with you. It is what it is. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, where you will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can simply go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the General Sales Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and you're in our area and you're just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office and drop off a loaner vehicle to you and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. And if you're not in our area, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will find a Porsche dealership in your area that can service you at PorscheAmerica.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you find it difficult to maintain your friendships now that you have chosen to live this Christian life, you said. However, you said you do not want to lose your friends. Here's the reality. Let me break this down for you. The reality is that there will be points in time where you will outgrow people. It's not that you don't want to be friendly with them. It's not that you don't want to enjoy their friendship. I get that. But you also have to understand that there are going to be, particularly when you have chosen to live this Christian life, this life we're living in Christ, we become new creatures. When we are in Christ, when we make a choice to live a Christian life, we become a new creature. That means that old adage comes to life in us. The things, the places I used to go, I don't go anymore. The things I used to do, I don't do anymore. That old adage comes to life in us because we no longer choose to do the things that we did when we were living in the world. So of course, there are going to be people who drop off. And the reason is because you've now outgrown them. You've blossomed into something new. Something they have never seen before in you. And let me tell you what that looks like. You stay in on Saturday night and you prepare yourself for Sunday morning. You get up on Sunday morning, you go to church on Sunday morning. You then get off, done with church, and you prefer to visit family now as opposed to just going out to brunch. Now, that's not to say that you're not willing to go out to brunch from time to time, but you're not willing to go out to brunch and drink anymore because you don't want to be spending your Sunday afternoon drinking and then feeling the consequences of that on Monday morning, which all of your friends are doing. So you prefer to visit family members on a Sunday after church. You prefer to prepare yourself Sunday evening for Sunday morning. You prefer to do what you can do to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. So having said that, your goal is not to hang out in the clubs. Your goal is not to drink on Sunday afternoons. Your goal is not to drink on Saturday night so that it's hard for you to get up on Sunday morning. You're not doing those things. Consequently, the people who are doing those things in your life, some of them will drop off. Some of them will just accept that you're doing something different now. But some of them will drop off immediately because you're not hanging with them anymore. You're not out with them anymore. So they're going to do their thing, and then they're not going to wait for you to show up anymore. They're not going to expect you to party anymore because that's not what you're doing. But what that does imply is that you've outgrown them. And then the people who accept that you're not going to do those things and remain in your life, some of them are going to be there for, see, the people that drop off are the people who were with you for a reason. They were with you because the reason is you had something in common. No matter how long you've known them, whether it was short term or long term, you had something in common. So they drop off. Then you have the people who are with you for a season, and because you don't do the things they do anymore, and because you've outgrown those things, they may be there for a while, but some of them will drop off because you've outgrown them. And then there are people who will still remain in your life even though you've made that change, because they love you even though you don't do the things you used to do anymore. And those are the people who may be with you for a lifetime. See, the people who drop off, you've outgrown because now you have a relationship with the Lord. Whatever that looks like, you're developing, but you're in a relationship with the Lord. You are trying to go to, you go to church, trying to read your Bible more frequently. You've upped your prayer game. You're doing different things now. And so consequently, that implies that you've outgrown them. Maybe not professionally, but certainly spiritually. Now, they either will see your example and they too will want to make change, or they'll continue doing what they've always doing what they've always done, and you'll go to the next level. Because you understand you're climbing the stairway to heaven now. You understand that clearly. So you get it. You're moving on. It doesn't mean you want to leave them behind, but it may mean they want to be left behind because they're still doing what they've always done. And you've got to be okay with that. See, here's the issue. The issue is you got to be okay with the fact that you've outgrown some people. You've got to be okay with the fact that you're trying to finally build a great quality of life. Not just a better quality of life, but a great quality of life. You've chosen to live this Christian life. You didn't just choose to become a Christian. See, there's a difference there, and I need to break that down. You didn't choose to just be saved and become a Christian. You chose to be saved and be delivered and now live a Christian life. So it's kind of like making a complete change of, I'm not going to drink, not going to smoke, not going to hang out. I'm going to make certain that I am maximizing my quality of life. This is important for all of us to make that decision at some point in time. It's important that we make the right decisions in life. And the right decision in life is to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And here's the issue with that. The issue with that is that you can live, but you can't have life without Christ. There's always going to be something empty. There's always going to be some void that won't be filled without Him. It's important that the people that you love understand that about you, about the decision you've made, the choice that you've made. That you're not going to just live this life, you're going to maximize the quality of your life. You're going to have life and have it more abundantly. because you've chosen to live this Christian life. So it's not about, and people always want to refer back to, oh, you know, they're religious. No, you're not religious, you're in relationship. You know, you can look, you can be judgmental in life and be rigid. That looks like religion, but it's really not religion. Religion is you understanding the difference between the fall of sin, and the flesh. Those three things we have to understand. But then we have to take it beyond that. We have to get in a relationship with Christ. And that relationship looks like, I want to do better, because now I know better. That relationship looks like, I'm going to spend more time worshiping God and praising the Lord, which means I'm going to be around like-minded people. I'm going to go to church every Sunday. I'm not going to just say I'm a Christian and not go to church. I'm not going to just say I'm a Christian and not pray without ceasing. I'm not going to say I'm a Christian and not ever pick up my Bible. I'm not going to say I'm a Christian and then justify why I'm not doing the things that need to be done as a Christian so that I can get in relationship with Christ. Because you know, what's really interesting is that you'll begin making new friends, and some of them will profess to love the Lord, and they will profess to be a Christian, but however, there's something that Jesus said to all of us who are Christians, and that was, you will say, Lord, Lord, but I will have to say I never knew you. The reason is because there's no relationship. The reason is because we have decided that we can be a Christian and not hold ourselves accountable for anything more than just being saved. We've got to do better than that. If we want the best life, we've got to do better than that. If we want to live our best life, we've got to do better than what we've been doing. We've got to be willing to do a whole lot better than what we've been doing, just saying we know the Lord. No, I'm saved. No, that's nice. But, however, does that get you to the place that allows you to maximize the quality of your life? And so I want to encourage you on your Christian journey. And I want to say this. I want to say that because you've made this choice, because you've decided that you want this Christian life, you want to live this Christian life, don't worry about your friends. Don't worry about the people who you've called friend. You don't need to be worried about them. You need to be an example to them. They may, say that you're a holy roller. They may say, look, I've never had anyone call me a holy roller, but I have had people say, well, reverend or pastors, he's not going to do that with us because of who he is. And it's not just because of who I am, because I'm a man wrapped in flesh, just like anybody else. But it's because of whose I am, who I belong to, who I represent, that I'm trying to be the best that I can be. I'm not what I'm going to be, but I'm not what I was. So I'm trying to be the best that I can be, a better pastor, a better husband, a better father. I'm trying to be those things so that I can bring God the glory. So I want to encourage you, don't worry about your friends. because sometimes those that you think are your friends will become your haters, and you can't worry about your haters. Haters are going to hate. All you can focus on is what you can do to live this life and bring God all the glory. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I want to remind everyone that this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Comcast Business. We all are in need of being more effective and efficient in business. Comcast Business will give you the opportunity to do just that. Call Eunice at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope. And with a qualifying bundle, you will receive up to an $800 prepaid Visa gift card. At Comcast Business, call Eunice at 603-222-7706. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your adult daughter has no relationship with her father due to your divorce. Now she wants a relationship with him, and you said he does not appear to be interested in having a relationship with her. So here's the problem. First of all, let me say this, make this disclaimer. Divorce happens. And the reason divorce happens is because we don't join ourselves to the person God has appointed for our lives. It happens because we chose them for whatever reason. Now, having said that, the things that you said to your daughter about your ex-husband and her father during the process of separation, during the process of divorce, caused her to be bitter. But then she, along the way realizes that you're not perfect either. And now she wants a relationship with her father because she understands that, as she's become an adult, that divorce does happen. You said he doesn't appear to be interested in having a relationship with her. That's not true. And this is the problem when you say things like that. You're giving her more fuel for a fire that needs to be quenched. She needs a relationship with her father. She wants a relationship with her father. But his concern is that everything they do or whatever he says or whatever she sees, she's going to go back and play it for you. And when she was younger, it caused a problem for the two of them. Because you would call him and complain about what you didn't like. He then knew she shared it with you, and now he expects her to continue doing the same thing. The answer to this is you've got to let them work it out. You've got to let them work out their relationship. Just like I always encourage people to work out your own relationship with the Lord, I'm going to tell you this. You've got to allow them to work out their own relationship. And one of the things you should be telling her is you don't want to hear what goes on with him. And now that she's an adult, she's not required to share that information with you. She was only required to share that information with you when she was a minor, because if it was anything related to her well-being, you needed to know. But his relationships, you didn't need to know, but you were asking questions. What was going on in his personal life, you didn't need to know, but you were asking questions. What was going on in his professional life, you didn't need to know, but you were asking questions. And the reason you were asking questions is because you wanted to make certain that you didn't miss out on something you felt you were entitled to because you were dealing with it in your emotions. What you've got to know is that his life is not your life, and it shouldn't be important to you because she's now an adult. So whatever he wants to do for her, he's going to do for her. And whatever he wants to do with her, he's going to do with her. And whatever he wants to provide for her, he's going to provide for her. But it has nothing to do with you. So don't ask any questions when you talk to her about her father. Tell her, make it very clear to her that you encourage her to just have her own relationship with her father, and then let the two of them figure it out for themselves. Let the two of them figure out the dynamics of their relationship. Don't interfere. That's a hard thing for you to do, is to not interfere. But you have to do it if she's going to have a healthy relationship with her father. Let them work it out. Those are two grown adults who can work out whatever their relationship is going to be. And relationships are not always easy. Relationships are not going to always be easy. However, they can make this work. They can have a workable relationship. And what you will find is it will allow your daughter to have more healthy relationships with men. And maybe not just men, but other people. Because if you're going to always interfere in her relationships, she's never going to learn to navigate them on her own. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that you should not give her guidance, even instruction, maybe some recommendations. I'm not suggesting that. You're her parent. You have more experience than she'll ever have. But what I am suggesting is that you're spending too much time focusing on what your ex-husband is doing in his life. And that has interfered with what relationship your daughter can have with her father. And you're recognizing that that's really having some impact on her relationship with her father. So that's a good thing. You've at least recognized and acknowledged that there's something going on there. And what's really going on is, it's not that he's not interested. You said he appears to be, that was an out. It's not that he's not interested in having a relationship with his daughter. It's just you can't get involved with their relationship. You've got to allow them to have their own relationship. And if you do that, you'll be amazed at how your daughter will flourish in the future. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Under Armour Golf. If you are interested in the game of golf and interested in experiencing the game of golf, go to Under Armour Golf. You will find everything that Under Armour has to offer at underarmourgolf.com/golf. You'll see everything that they have to offer for you to experience the game of golf. And if you're just in the market for equipment or gear or athletic wear that will allow you to enhance your health or wellness, go to underarmour.com. You will find everything that Under Armour has to offer to improve and enhance your health and wellness at underarmour.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel that you need to shut down for a brief period of time. Even when you have a brief moment to yourself, it requires something of you. So you ask, how do you manage time for yourself with a hectic schedule? So this is actually very easy for me to address, because I understand, if anybody understands busy, I understand busy. So what happens is, when you have a hectic schedule and you feel like you need to shut down for a brief period of time, pick and choose your days. Don't do it all at once. Pick and choose when you can shut down based on what you have on your calendar. Now, some people will tell you, oh, that's letting your calendar control you. No, that's really you controlling your calendar, because you understand what needs to be done on your calendar. You understand what can be removed from your calendar, but you've got to find the moments to manage your self-care when you have a hectic schedule. And I'm not suggesting I have all the answers. I'm suggesting that I know what busy looks like, and I understand being busy. And I found that there is a way to take moments for self-care. Managing your time. First thing you really have to do is manage your schedule. And so many of you, or if not all of you, at some point in time, for our new listeners and viewers, you may not have ever heard this because it's your first day with us or first couple days with us. I'm very big on managing your time management. I'm also very big on managing a hectic schedule. And the way that I do that is that I do everything in 2-hour increments. So I know, and notice, I say 2-hour increments, but earlier in the broadcast I said I love to play golf and it takes me about 4 hours to play golf. I said 4.5 if I play bad, but it takes me 4 hours. That's two-hour blocks. If it runs a little over, it's because I had time on my schedule and I'm just playing badly. But I've taken out time, I've carved out time enough to play. And that usually looks like, for me, a specific period of time that I know I don't have anything on my calendar, or what's on my calendar was not significant enough that I couldn't remove it. Managing your time. So 2-hour increments. You can get a lot done in 2 hours, but you have to concentrate on those 2 hours. And if you do that throughout the day, so for me, it's 2 hours of administration every day. It's 2 hours of development. It's 2 hours of executive management. It's 2 hours of marketing. It's 2 hours of operations. That's 5 segments of business, 2 hours each segment. That's a 10-hour business day. But then I also, in addition to those 2-hour increments, so you're going to have some, you're going to have to make some adjustments. I study for 3 hours. I'm going to pray for an hour. That's two-hour segments again. It's all about discipline and managing your time effectively and efficiently. But you've got to schedule the time. You also have to schedule the time to have some shutdown, or as I said, rest in the Lord. But you can't make it for a brief period. Like, you can't do that and say, I'm gonna take a week and shut down. That's called vacation. You can't take 3 days and say, I'm just gonna do the work I have to do. And for 3 days, I'm gonna go to work, but I'm just gonna do the work I have to do, and then I'm just gonna shut down in the evening. You cannot feasibly do that and be productive. But you can schedule time that you can focus on resting in the Lord. But that time has to be scheduled, because that's the only feasible way of managing your time, effectively and efficiently. So you've got to know what you want to accomplish. If you need sleep, you may take a power nap for 2 hours. Some folks might say that's not a nap, that's sleeping. But if that's what you need, get it. That's your way of resting in the Lord. If you need to retreat into reading, do it. That may be your way of resting in the Lord. Whatever it is that you need to do, you need to schedule it. You don't need to shut down. You're not going to be productive if you shut down. You're going to be productive if you rest in the Lord. Find that time that you're going to rest in the Lord. And then do it. And then you may have to find your Sabbath. You may have to define your Sabbath. You may have to make some adjustments in your Sabbath. So for me, everyone who knows me knows that Saturdays is really a day for me to have my Sabbath. Unless I have someplace I have to be, a function that I have to attend, something like that, I don't look for anything to do on Saturdays. I don't play golf on Saturdays. I do run early in the morning, but once I run, I am showered, changed, and then it's read, pray, pray, prepare scriptures for Sunday, but I'm not doing anything else. If I'm required by schedule to be at an event or some type of function, or if it's something that I've planned with, my grandson visiting, then yeah, I may do that on a Saturday. But Sunday, after service, I'm gonna get my Sabbath in. Sometimes our schedule will change. This is all of us. Sometimes our schedule will change. We have to make some adjustments because we're trying to be as productive as we possibly can to make certain that we enhance the quality of our lives and experience the fullness of God. So there may be some changes necessary, but it won't be the norm. It won't be the outside of the normal routine on a consistent basis. And you have to discipline yourself for that. So you have to discipline yourself to find those moments to rest in the Lord. I said this earlier, it was going to take me into another communication because I understand the necessity of resting in the Lord. I do. I understand the necessity of that. A shutdown, I don't encourage. Think about what it was like when the pandemic came and we had to shut down everything. Everything in our lives changed in the blinking of an eye because we had to shut down. So I don't encourage anyone to shut down. Even if you're, watch this, pardon me. Even if you're not feeling your best, you're having a day where you feel like, maybe I'll use a better example. Maybe you're suffering from influenza. You really can't work when you have the flu. So if you're like me, you go to bed and you rest because you know your body needs that rest. But you're still accomplishing something. You don't ever want to shut down and not accomplish something. Your goal has to be to accomplish something every single day, every hour of every day, even if it's resting in the Lord for a period of time. Just resting in the Lord, not shutting down, but just resting in the Lord, doing something that will allow you to rest in the Lord. That's why I read, because I know I can read the scriptures and still allow my body to rest. Maybe I need my mind to rest, and in that case, you may need to get some additional sleep. But the good news is, if we just continue to do what God has assigned for us to do, He'll give us the strength to carry on the mission that will bring Him the glory. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. Remember, we're in the midst of our monthly FijiWater.com sponsored promo. Go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear at 11 a.m. or at 6 p.m., list those songs along with your name and email address